David Brucey here with another 3 for All, and this is 3 Ronni Le Tekro licks from 1989. And Ronni Le Tekro is the guitarist from the band TNT. He's from Norway, and TNT kind of found some success in the mid to late 80s and early 90s, and they were very popular in Europe and Japan, and had some moderate success in the United States. And I just made, the chord play chords of TNT earlier today, and I'm going to follow that with this 3 for All, kind of focusing on Ronni. And to be honest, it's been years since I'd kind of visited, TNT's music. And as I prepared for the chord play and the 3 for All, I was watching footage, I was listening to their songs, I was learning, riffs and songs and solos that I'd never really worked on before. And the last 48 hours, I have been just completely absorbed with Ronni Le Tekro and the music of TNT. And it's been great, and I know how I am, so I'm really just trying to get this out of my system. Ronnie's an exceptional guitarist. He's very exciting, he's very random, kind of spastic, and there's kind of moments of like this ADD, kind of feeling in his playing. But he's always melodic. He always has some soaring, majestic sounding melodic idea. And then he has all these crazy, shred runs and these little quirky, licks and ideas that he throws out. And he's an exciting guitarist. Once you realize who he is and you start listening to him, it's exciting because you don't really know what he's going to do next. And he's a rock shred guitarist, but he has a lot of kind of classical elements and themes. And, his music, it doesn't really remind me of Yngwie at all. If anything, it reminds me of Nuno Bettencourt, because Nuno, especially in the early days of Extreme, he was extremely playful. And he would throw in these little classical licks and melodies and just random stuff. And Ronnie's kind of like that too. The licks in this lesson actually came from a Japanese bootleg I located on YouTube, and it was in 1989, which would have been their Intuition tour, which was prime time, to see TNT live. And I'd never seen the footage before. I've never seen TNT in concert. I just listened to their albums and saw some of their videos and stuff, on MTV. But when I found the footage, I was like, oh wow, it's like a really good, recording. You can hear and see everything. And definitely the vocalist, Tony Harnell. I mean, Tony is way up in the cosmos. I mean, he has like a 4-octave vocal range. And Ronnie did a guitar solo in there too. But his guitar solo was more of like a showpiece, or it was kind of a stage thing, and it reminded me, like on Paul Gilbert's first instructional video, he was doing magic tricks, and Ronnie did his own magic tricks for his live solo. The first lick comes from the song Tonight I'm Falling, and it happens right during the intro part. So I'm going to play through the guitar riff, and then I'm going to break down the lick. So it sounds and looks like this. And it's interesting, because of the studio version of this song, Ronnie does the whole lick in the same position. He does this. But on the live footage, he jumps way up an octave here. And then he just basically, transports an octave lower, which is really pretty cool. That's a really simple phrase, but I do like that kind of teleportation, on the neck, where he's moving from, a very high position to a much lower one, and it kind of connects those two phrases. And I also like just the way that lick is assembled, or the way it's put together, where you have this interesting kind of melodic contour. I like the way it sounds. It sounds cool. Next example's from the guitar solo from Tonight I'm Falling, and it looks and sounds like this. And right there you can see he's kind of moving into that F sharp, just kind of a shift slide. And then he plays this little melodic line. Really expressive. I like that melody. And then right here, he basically climbs up the B string. But on that B note, he's actually dipping the bar a couple times. So I'm just kind of imitating that with kind of a slight bend. And then he answers that with this really quickly picked melodic line. And Ronnie has a history of doing these very fast, he calls it machine gun picking, where he's tremolo picking, but he does it melodically and he moves in a very different way. So it's not really like the Van Halen tremolo picking, this kind of thing. It's a little different because he does it very, abruptly, and he can do it, just for a few milliseconds or so, and then go right back into another phrase or a lick. And it's really interesting. But that little lick there, and then he basically answers that by grabbing that A sharp and then bending it to B. So you're just kind of milking, like a half step bend. Now, as you could probably see on that clip, Ronnie's picking hand is very precise, and it's like a Ferrari or something. He can just kind of rev it up and go from 0 to 100 or whatever really fast. And I know when I first started listening to TNT and I'd listen to his guitar solos, I would catch these wicked licks, and I'm just listening to it, obviously. And by listening to it, I couldn't figure out what he was doing. I mean, it sounded like he was just ferociously playing all over the fretboard. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's so fast. It's got this, kind of slight palm mute, almost kind of a mutola, like Al Di Meola's, mutola technique, where it's palm muted, but it's very lightly palm muted to where you still hear the note, but it's dampened, a little bit. So you have that kind of a, kind of slight mute sound. But when I watched this concert, I actually got to see Ronnie perform a couple of those licks. And when I saw him do it, I was like, oh, that's what he's doing, And when you just hear it, you can't really place what it is. It just sounds brutally fast and outrageous. But when you see it performed, it's like, oh, he's literally, kind of neck pickup, tremolo picking, and he's just weaving between, a couple spots on the fretboard. Now, he does it very precisely, where he's staying in key. But here's a little clip that I made that shows two different speed licks like this, where he's literally tremolo picking and muting slightly, and he's also targeting, kind of a random assortment of notes. But it's really cool. The next lick actually comes from the solo from Tonight I'm Falling, and I didn't really mean to capture so much of the same song. It's just in that that particular song during the set, the footage of Ronnie playing was really good, because whoever had the cameras, or whoever was controlling the cameras, they jumped around so much, and it was like singer, drummer, bass player, Ronnie, singer, bass player, drummer, back to Ronnie. And I kept trying to find footage where you could actually see him playing. There wasn't so much cutting away. But then this lick, he's going to basically start on F sharp. He's going to bend that up with some vibrato. He's doing some kind of quick pick taps here. Something like that. Almost sounds like Morse code or something weird. So right there. And then after he does the pick tapping, he's going to grab, it's basically out of C sharp minor pentatonic right there, but grab that 12th fret, bend it a whole step up to C sharp. And then he's just gonna basically cascade down the scale using fourths, and he's also palm muting too, which is really cool. Here's a bonus lick from this solo, and this comes from As Far as the Eye Can See, and this is during kind of an extended outro of the song. They've already kind of played through it, and they're just kind of wrapping it up. But Ronnie adds this kind of extended, little tag or outro. So really what's happening here, it's basically an F major arpeggio, but he's using neighbor tones, and instead of just playing through the arpeggio normally, he's doing it, with neighbor tones, which are just little half-step movements between the notes. So think of, F, A, and C, but instead of playing it like that, he's doing it like this. So there's your F to E, back to F, and then A to A flat to A, and then C, B, C. And he basically goes back to F right there, F, E, F. And then right there, go back to the D string and do that C, B, C again. So there you're just kind of sidestepping right across the D, G, and B strings. And there's C, B, C, F, E, F, and then what, A, G sharp to A. And then you're going to end up there on C, B, and C. And then right there, he's going to move all the way back to where you have E and F. And now he's just kind of moving straight up 2 notes at a time like this. You can definitely see he's kind of moving around the fretboard quite a bit, and I love neighbor tones. I actually had a lesson in Guitar Player magazine that focused on neighbor tones. But one more time there. As you could kind of see and hear there at the end, I chose not to sing that last note that Tony Harnell sang, because that was way up there. I'd probably blow out my throat if I tried to sing like that. That's going to wrap this look at 3 licks from Ronni Le Tekro, and Ronnie is just an exceptional, very gifted, forward-thinking, and unique guitarist. And his ideas are different. The way he puts solos and riffs and rhythms and his ideas together is really inspiring, because it's not the normal, kind of mold or format. It's like, no, there's all kinds of stuff happening here. So anyway, leave some feedback and some comments. Please subscribe to Late Night Lessons, and I'll be back before you know it with more lessons and material. Thank you.